I'm going to talk about how to avoid this. I'm going to talk about what happens when you first get stung by a stingray, the treatment process for it, and how to avoid all of this in the first place. If you've ever been to a beach in California, there were stingrays with you in the water. And I know there are some surfers in here who happen to be the most commonly stung group. As Aubrey Turningo states, about 2,000 people in the U.S. annually get stung by stingrays every year in her 2019 article, Stingray Sting. So, let's imagine you're at the beach on a nice summer day and you decide to take a dip in the water and then you step on a really sharp rock. It's likely that that's not a rock and it was actually a stingray. When this happens, they defensively whip their tail around and sting whatever is attacking them. Vidal Haddad describes that the barb on the end of a stingray tail is serrated and covered in little glandular cells filled with toxic venom in her 2004 article published in the journal Toxicon. Don't worry, this venom isn't going to kill you, which is kind of like a stigma created by the media due to Steve Irwin dying in 2006 being stung by a stingray. But let's take a look at both the ray that killed Steve and the rays that are present in California. So this is the Dasyatic brevicaldata, the type of ray that killed Steve, which Lewis Smith describes in his article in the News International Trading Limited in 2006, right after he died. Steve got stung in the heart by one of these, which was the cause of his death. But that's not what happens in California. In California, we have these tiny little stingrays called the round stingray. They're about 22 inches at most. And most people will accidentally step on them or stick their hand in the water, and that's what stings them. And it's not really gonna kill you if you get stung by one of these little guys in the foot. Peter Meyer, a scientist, describes in his 1997 article, Stingray Injuries, that only 1 or 2 people per year in the U.S. will die from a stingray injury, and that's because they're stung in the chest or stomach, not the foot. So, what happens once you've gotten stung by? Oh, also, this is a comparison between them if you didn't notice the difference in the rays. So, what happens once you get stung? The only known cure for a stingray injury is soaking it in hot water, and this is because that the venom and the sting is heat labeled, meaning that it kind of neutralizes the sting venom once it comes into contact with heat, which is what Carla Parsons describes in her 2015 article, Stingray Envenomation Treatment Recommendations. She recommends putting the foot or hand or whatever in water as hot as the victim can handle, or about 110 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. You'll want to soak it for about an hour, but everyone is different depending on where you got stung, how deep the barb went, how long you waited to get treatment, and your own pain tolerance. All are factors in how long it takes to soak your foot. I know a guy who was in and out of the stingray room, which we call the first aid room. It's actually a stingray room. He was in there for 20 minutes, and then there was another guy in there crying for 2 hours. So it really just depends on your own self, and every sting is different. Once you're able to take the extremity out of hot water for about 5 minutes, walk around, and don't feel intense radiating pain, you're gonna be okay to go. But it's important to note that there's still gonna be a puncture wound, so there will be pain, but it's important to differentiate between the pain from the venom and the pain from the actual wound. After you're done soaking, just treat it like a normal wound, wrap it, keep it clean, change the bandages. But if it does become infected, which can happen, just go to the doctors, they'll get you antibiotics and get you fixed up. So this all sounds like a lot of hassle for accidentally stepping on a marine animal. But there's a really simple way to just avoid all of this altogether. James Diaz says in his 2008 article, published in the Journal of Travel Medicine, to just do the stingray shuffle. And you literally, as soon as you enter the water, you just shuffle your feet through the sand, and stingrays bury under the sand. So just shuffling your feet will let them know that you're there, and they'll swim away. They're really peaceful creatures, and they don't really like to be around people. So just keeping your feet and not actually lifting your feet off the ground will be enough to keep you safe from them. So I learned all of this personally, having been stung by a stingray twice, which is to be expected living in one of the most highly populated ray areas in the nation. I also lifeguarded at this beach and treated over 200 stingray victims this summer, and I personally worked with these animals volunteering at the Aquarium of the Pacific in Long Beach. So I kind of know the drill for this, which is how I learned all of this. But I hope this information has helped to kind of reduce the stigma around stingrays produced by the media, and I hope that you have learned something that you hopefully won't have to know, but it's always good to know what to do in emergency situations, because just keeping yourself calm will help to calm other people, and the most important thing in situations like these is to just stay calm and realize it's going to be okay. I'm not going to die from a little foot-long stingray poking my foot. Thank you.